Hi everybody. Now it's time to talk about building the case for these two shells. So I've already cut the pieces correct to size. Two wall boards. Now these guys, unlike my normal process, are exactly the height of, exactly the height of the outer shell and a little bit wider. So you get a little square there. Okay. And there are two keys to getting the case to fit correctly once you've built the shells. The first is that the spine, okay, which is the same height as the boards, whether your boards are the same, whatever the height of the boards are, that's what the height of the spine is. But the key here is you want the spine to be cut so that it is the width of, the height of the outer wall board plus one board width, not two, which you'd kind of think you'd want to do this. But this is going to make, if this were that wide, it would be a little bit unwieldy. So you're going to cut the spine to the width of this, okay? And the second key is the width of the joints, which is not arbitrary. So the correct width of a joint in general for the boxes that I make, and it's an easy rule of thumb, is if you want a joint that's going to open 180 degrees, you want to make it two board widths of twice the thickness of whatever board you're using. Okay, that'll give you a correct size joint to open as it needs to be. Now this kind of doesn't fall apart, but it's a little less of a rule of thumb if everything is really big. If you got really thick boards, then you might want to allow a little extra. But in general, two board widths is going to give you the correct size joint for what you're doing. All right, so those are the two keys, plus cutting everything square, which is a given at this point in time, I hope. So I'm going to be using PVA, so in which case I'm going to be gluing the boards instead of the covering material, because a piece this big is just going to get really unwieldy. It's doable, but if I were going to be doing that, I'd be using hot glue, and I don't have hot glue made up in the pot. So here we go. I'm going to get everything ready to go. Here's my newsprint. Got my cloth over here, out of the frame, but I'm not going to pull that over just yet. I'm going to glue this first board in so that you can see it. The others I'll probably do off to the side here because it's just going to be a little easier. Where's my square corner? There's my square corner. All right, so it's going to go there. Going to do this. Big brush. Okay, here we go. Oh, I forgot my knife to pick off crap. Okay. Oh. Grab the knife. Hair. Goomer. Goomer. All right. Get rid of this. Put this over here. Here we go. Here's our cloth. And drop this down. These are a little bigger turn-ins than I would normally do, but sometimes it's just easier to give yourself a little extra. Oh, look at my camera. Go back up there. Sorry about that. Okay, heel of the hand, clean fingers, dirty fingers. All right, now it's time to do the spine. So let me grab my straight edge. Okay. My spine board. PVA. Alrighty. And, oh, where did I put my spacers? Oh, this is embarrassing. There we go. Okay, gonna be a good day. There we go. Get my head out of the frame. There. We're good. Actually, I don't want to make such a fuss about getting this just right. Just to let you know, this is actually not the case that I'm going to be using for these boxes, because they're a little different, and I'll show you at the end of this video why. This I just want to show you. This is basically just as an example of how the process works. Plus, we did need to talk about the whole joint thickness thing and spine thickness thing. Okay, there's that. Blue, Goomer, knife, off. Actually, that's one of the, I've also come to believe that one of the main reasons we wear aprons is so we have a place to wipe crap off on when we're working. It does keep the clothes clean. All right, so then this one goes on the same way. There's my correct joint, double check it. Okay. Good. Cut your corners a little bit beyond, a little bit more than one board width away from the point, 45 degrees. Oops. One of the one of the several things to look for when you're looking to judge the professionalism of the work is how big the corners are. If they're overly large, then it's not a huge flaw, but it is, they can get kind of unsightly, and heaven knows I've done my share of them. All right, so now we're going to do head and tail turn-ins first, then the foredges. Do these guys one at a time. And I'll show you how to work the material into the joints, because that has to go in pretty well. Otherwise, it's not going to work as well as you would want. Okay, so first, glue it out. Get rid of that. Put this out of the way. I can do it this way. Push it here. That was my notes flying up into the screen. All right, so when you're doing this, a helpful thing to keep in mind is work from the far end in, and it'll add a little bit of, it'll help the cloth come in and give you a little bit more cloth in the joint where you need it. Sounds kind of weird, but it does work. Same coming from this direction. So I work in towards the center, in toward the spine. Again, firmly over the edge of the boards. This is far from perfect because, again, this is not an ideal kind of placement, but you need to see what's going on here. All right, so once I get to this point, you can work it in with your folder. You can also take your joint spacer and whack it in there, and then hold it with a folder and do the other side. Because if you do the one and then the other, it's going to pull it out. Okay. Also, if you happen to have one of the world's best straight edges, you can use that too. It's pretty close to the size for a lot of joints, and if it's not, you can always run it back and forth. Okay, so you see how nicely the material goes down in there. That's kind of what you're looking for. If at all possible, and it's not always possible, you know, get it as well adhered to the sides of the boards as you can. All right, let's do the other side.